Out with the old, and in with the new. For training programs, meal plans, and coaching, make sure you check out khpfitnessandtraining.com. What's going on, my fitness seekers all over the world? KHP Fitness here with another video for you. And today, I wanted to talk about the evolution of band training, man. When I first got into bands, I wasn't even aware of how long band training has been around. Now, I did my research and just was looking to see where did band training originate from. Now, I got the idea from James Grant and the Undersun Tribe, TA2, all of that, but I wanted to see what the origin was before the ones with the handles came out, the tube bands. Even before those came out, before the loop bands became a big thing when it came to actual building up muscle. So I wanted to go ahead and do a little research, and I did. I went ahead and found out this dates back as far as 1986 from what I've seen from a trainer, a fitness trainer named Kathy Smith. And that's some of the oldest information that I've seen. And I went to her website just to check her out. She is a American professional trainer, been doing personal training for a long time. She even has a website up. I'm going to put that information up for you. Go ahead and check it out when you get a chance to, as she is one of the pioneers to when it comes to band training. Now, when she was using bands, she was using ones like this, a little thicker, a little bigger. She would tie them within themselves. And as she tied them within themselves, it would actually make it so you can actually get a little resistance out of it. But they were thicker than this. So if I tried to use this, it'll probably pop in my face. And we don't want to see none of them bloopers. We don't want that, right? Right, guys? With that being said, what we did is revolutionize that as time went on to make bands more compatible to when it comes to weight training. And that's my whole thing. It's not where you train, it's how you train. I've said it hundreds of times. When it comes to bands, the big loop ones here, these are the ones that will actually put on lasting muscle on your body. As I tell everybody all the time, I haven't exclusively done weight training, maybe going with a buddy every 4 or 5 months. But what I hit 3 to 5 days a week is these guys here. And that's what keeps the muscle on my body. Because it gets you out of that thing of thinking, oh yeah, you know, it has to be weights. The stigmas, that's what kills people off. And as I tell people, I like to prove people wrong, get them away from all those stigmas. So I'm going to go ahead and show you side by side on how the band training has evolved as the years have come on. And that way you get a little bit more insight on what's going on when it comes to band training. So, you know what I want before we start. You know what I want. Go ahead and hit that like, comment, subscribe, notification bells, all that good stuff. Share with your people. And let's get into it. All right, now the first thing I want to start out with is the pull apart here. The pull apart is very important just for the back, and you can see the evolution from the old school to the new school on how it's done when it comes down to this one. See how I got it broken up side by side. That's what I want to do, is bring you guys the side by sides when it comes down to the movements. Very important. As you know, when she's doing it, she got a real fast tempo. And when it comes to actual muscle building and toning, you want to make sure you're really concentrating on that concentric and eccentric movement. Next thing we're going into is the triceps, tricep raises. Behind the back version, getting the long head of the muscle and showing you how they're doing it. They're kind of doing like a push out version, and it's more tempo. It's a good tempo, very good for tempo. But when he brought it down to muscle building those triceps, you want to be working on that eccentric, concentric throughout the motions, because that's what's going to grow the muscles the most. So the reason that bands have always gotten like that, those are for ladies, is because every time when you see a lot of the instruction videos of old, it is a situation where it's just like this, where it's time, not really time under tension, just fast movements to getting that heart rate up, keeping it slim as possible. But the muscle building is a whole different premise when it comes to it. And I gave you 2 different versions when it came up here. Then we go over straight on to the raise. I like this one too. I'm gonna pause that for a second. When it comes to this raise, works the front delt pretty good. What happens with that full movement is you're going to get a lot of shoulder action, front delts. I know front delts are worked, but when you're trying to hit everything, or let's say your front delts are lacking, which more than likely a lot of people are not. But if they are lacking, you can use movements like this to really correct those front delts. Next up, we got most people's favorites. We got biceps. And I'm showing you, pausing that for a second, showing you how it lines up when it comes to it. When it comes to the rubber band, what happens with it is that she only has so much target space. She only has so much that she can pull with it. And then you lose tension throughout. So you're only half repping. But when it comes to doing it fully, you with the loop bands, because of the distance, you're able to get a little bit more out of that. And as you can see, getting that concentric and eccentric nice and controlled. You see my tempo is a lot slower than their tempo. Very important to know when it comes to these tempos on how to get that muscle to build itself, because you need that stress over time. All right, next we move to a lateral raise. Now you see on this lateral raise how they're doing it. When they're doing the shoulders, they're kind of doing the up motion, almost like a shrug, right? Like your shoulder shrugging, like you're doing an upright row. Is how they're doing it, but they're doing it from the back. So you're kind of like doing this, which kind of like looks like a dip when it comes down to it. But you put a lot on, if you want to build those lateral heads to give you that more cap looking delt, you want to be doing some raises. Now that lean forward is going to give you everything you need when it comes to hitting the lateral. That's how that works. I'm going to give you different angles when it came down to these two, so you can see how much is working when it comes to those shoulders. It's a really good move. Next we transition to the bent over rolls. One of my favorites. Get a good roll, work those erectors in your back. A lot of action happening right there. You're gonna get some lat action too, but you know, the further it is out, the more lats are gonna be flared to get it a little bit more when it comes down to it. Then I did a seated row, because they transitioned over to the seated row. So I did a seated row as well when it comes down to it. Now on this one, I'm gonna pause it. You see the bicep, what they're doing is they're doing what I was talking about in my earlier video, hit that tag too. So what they're doing is they're doing a bicep curl with a pull. Now, because you're using more muscles when you're pulling, when you're rowing, versus bicep curls, which is going to be isolating just two, using a bunch of muscles here. And so they're not going to add up when it comes down to the combination of movements. Like one's going to have more resistance than the other. So it can tax your arms, your biceps, but it won't tax your back. You get what I'm saying? That's why you don't want to do combination moves in that, unless you're doing it just to get a good workout in. Not as much as you may need to tax certain biceps, for sure. It can get taxed really good when it comes to that. But when it comes to bent over rows, not so much. So you want to be able to work these movements individually like I'm doing in these videos. Next up, we move into the chest. Got a little chest action going on here. Now this one's an interesting one here. What they do is they spread their legs out, right? They're doing the spread, right? So the legs are spread and they're bringing it in almost like a fly, which wouldn't be a bad move. But then they're doing like this, which would be cool if there was enough resistance. But with rubber bands, guys, with this, you're not going to get much out of that. Even if you're spreading it onto your feet and you're going over and over. Even with the bigger one she has, they're going to be more challenging. But they're not going to be challenging like these guys here. No way. So her doing this, it's okay. Like I said, it gets a good burn, gets the arms moving, but it's not the same, man. It's not the same when it comes down to it. And I wanted to point out those differences. It's been 36 years in between from that recording to my recording, and you can see the difference of how band training has come. You can actually see the difference of development. You can see the difference of the durability of bands and how they work for you and how they can work for you if done correctly. Of course, nothing is perfect. You can pop bands, but if you're being safe and you got some pretty decent bands and you're checking them like you should be doing, talked about it in this video here, then you'll be good to go and you won't have to worry. They're cheaper than the gym. And if you stay motivated and stay on your game with discipline and accountability, you can make them work for you. Once again, I want to thank Kathy Smith for staying dedicated and keeping the people in shape for years and years and years. And that's what I want to do too. It's 14 for me. Been 14 years since I got onto my fitness journey. Actually more than that. I got to get those numbers correct, man. But I know it's somewhere about 14 to 16 at this point. And at the end of the day, what it really boils down to is staying consistent, accountability, and doing what you can to put yourself in the best position so you age gracefully. Look at her. She looks phenomenal and compare it to how you can age. And you can age terribly or you can age gracefully. It's your choice. As I said before, like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. More videos coming. Going to be thinking about working on a reaction video next. Let me know if you like this form and content when I can compare the bands and see the evolution, do my little research. Let me know how that works for you guys. I appreciate everybody for watching this. It's not where you train, it's how you train. Get yourself some bands and move it, man. Because the gems ain't always available. I'll talk to you guys soon. You take care.